Okay, ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker is the Mayor of our beautiful city. Please join us in welcoming our Mayor, Councillor Frank Carbone.
Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is a real pleasure to be able to come together with the community in Fairfield City to celebrate one of our great celebrations, Assyrian New Year. As the Mayor, I'm proud to see so many people from so many diverse communities join us today in this celebration. And I'd like to welcome all our special guests. I'd like to welcome Senator Concetta Fierravanti-Wells, representing the Prime Minister, Chris Bowen, Member for McMahon, representing the Leader of the Opposition, the Honorary David Clark, representing the Premier, Philip Ruddick, Federal Member for Barawa, Craig Kelly, the Federal Member for Hughes, Nick Lalich, the Federal Member for Cabramatta, Tanya Davies, the Member for Malgoa, Guy Zangari, the State Member for Fairfield, Reverend Fred Nile, MLC, and his wife, and of course my councillor colleagues, Councillor Kushaba, Councillor Saliba, Councillor Maluso and Councillor Bennett, and also our Fairfield LAC Commander Peter Lennon, and all the community groups and organisations that come together to make this day such a special day. Shlama Lahun. That's as good as I can get it. Ladies and gentlemen, like I said, it's a real pleasure to be here. It's great that we're able to join together as a community with so many dignitaries, to come together to give each other our best wishes, to wish our families and our friends a better new year. Celebrating the Assyrian New Year is always a joyous occasion. It's an occasion and a time that we can look back. We can look back and be grateful for our achievements as a community and as individuals. But it's also a time that we can look forward to better goals, look forward to a better year. And as we come together and wish each other better health and better prosperity, it's also an opportunity for us to reconnect with our faith, because I know the faith and family is very important to the Assyrian community, and on a day like this, it's a great occasion to do that. In our city, we are a very diverse community. We have more than 130 diverse communities, all from very different cultures. And the Assyrian community plays a very, very important part in our local community. It has embraced the Australian way of life. It has integrated. It has shared the rich culture that it has. Culture that is known throughout the world. Its inventions, its history, its traditions, its language, and more and more. But so the Assyrian community has come together to Fairfield City. It has embraced our way, but it has also shared its own traditions. And by sharing its own traditions, it's been able to make its own festivities and its own culture part and parcel of Fairfield City. The Assyrian New Year's Festival is now a festival that is renowned in the Fairfield City Council calendar. That's how important it is. And also, having known all those traditions, having earlier been part of the opening of the exhibition, it's even closer than what I thought, because I now learn that the beer, the snags and the pies were originally Assyrian. That's what I'm told. So we're even closer than what we thought. But a day like this is a special day. It's even more special for the Assyrian community. The Assyrian community came out here as migrants, and it's important that on days like this, celebrating Assyrian New Year in Australia and in Fairfield City, we recognise the sacrifices of those early Assyrian migrants, which many are here now. Many of them left their homes, they left their land. They came to a place for a new language. They came seeking opportunity, freedom of speech and democracy, and some even fleeing oppression. It's never easy to leave behind your family members. It's never easy to leave behind your home and to come to a new country. They have taken this opportunity, and through this opportunity, you have all made an immense contribution to our local city and to our country. You have successfully showcased your multicultural ways, and in doing so, you've made Fairfield City a much richer and diverse place, one that we can all live together in peace. And I congratulate you and thank you for all of that. But as the celebration of Assyrian New Year means even more to the Assyrian community, I understand that. It's about your identity. It's about maintaining your identity, your nationhood. Your community and your culture has stood the test of time, regardless of all the hurdles that it's had over many centuries. The celebrations today are celebrations that, whilst the Assyrian community is dispersed across the world, today the Assyrian community is together. It brings the whole community together in celebration, in unification, in acknowledging the wonderful traditions and heritage that you have. Because nobody can rewrite history, and no one can take away your faith or your identity or your nationhood. And no time will ever forget or can take away the past. It's through this persistence that's been shown through the Assyrian community, the persistence and time that's been given, that eventually, I have no doubt that the progress for the Assyrian cause, through peace and through just cause and through the recognition of their homeland, will eventuate. It's also a show today of the respect and the high regard that many people have for the Assyrian community, to see so many dignitaries, politicians, community members, leaders of different organisations come together to join your celebration. It shows what a high regard they have for the local Assyrian community, and they have this because of the way that you've embraced your own heritage and the way you've embraced our own heritage here in Australia. And I congratulate you for all of that. I want to especially express my gratitude to all the Assyrian organisations that I see working very hard in our local council area. It's through them that we have a better area. They work very hard, not just on Assyrian issues, but on youth, on issues relating to the elderly, to make sure that those elderly are not forgotten and they are helped through in tough times. So I want to congratulate all the organisations, and especially so, I want to congratulate the AUA, people like David and Hermes Shaheen, who have made an outstanding contribution, not just locally, but also I know they worked very hard on a state level, on a federal level, and on an international level for Assyrian causes. They've shown themselves to be quite admirable and quite dedicated to their cause. And they are people and an organisation that you can all be proud of, and we can all be proud of as a community to have them based here in Fairfield City. Because through them, it's only through them and through their hard work that many issues can progress forward. So, ladies and gentlemen, just in closing, just want to say a few words in Assyrian. I didn't Google them, so no doubt they won't be right, but one of my councillor colleagues did tell me how to say them, so I'll have a go. Where are they here? There we go. Hoya Brikta Rishit Shita Kakule Atu Raihe Bazimraba.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Speaking of dedicated Assyrians, ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker is the Deputy Secretary General of the Assyrian Universal Alliance. Please welcome to the stage Mr. Hermes Shaheen.
ومدي خما يا بوينتانن باروخون ريش الشيتا عطوريتا الكل بني أمتن عطوراي كلي كتب عمارنا اتلهيوي مريع لها الشيتا وشنت بتاينا بتقاوي شنت منتيتا وخادوتا قومتن عطوريتا بتقاوي شنة اتقاها أمتا شقلة وقنية الخيروتو وخيا بشلامة ورهطوطة جو أرقد أوهاتا أرقد آطر قدشتا بني أمتي مهبة بطلبن بخلطة همزمتي وديو إلى أختي بلشانة إنجلسنايا هويتم بسيمة Reverend Father, distinguished and honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Assyrian Universal Alliance, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to this annual gathering. I compliment the Festival Organizing Committee for their great efforts in making all preparations for this memorable day. I express special appreciation to the honourable members of the Australian federal, state parliaments and local government for their presence today. We are very grateful to you all for raising the Assyrian issue on several occasions in the Senate, federal and state parliaments, calling on Australian government to support the rights of the indigenous Assyrian people in Iraq and Syria. A special welcome and thanks to the Honourable Reverend Fred Nile for the successful motion he raised in the Legislative Council of New South Wales Parliament in support of Nineveh province for Assyrians. I extend a warm welcome to Superintendent Peter Lennon and to his team and thank them for their enormous efforts and sacrifice to keep the community safe. I extend special welcome to all the Assyrians arriving from overseas who have joined this New Year celebration. I thank the Department of Immigration for providing them with visas. I just would like to acknowledge some of the guests, Mr. Yusuf, Mr. Esam Yaku Gorgis, Mr. Halan George Georgis, Mr. Sargon Gisu, Mr. Johar Bia, and Dr. Luis Sliwu. We also welcome our friend representing the Armenian, Coptics, Greeks, and Assyrian organization and the prominent people in attendance with us. We were looking forward to having Mr. Muayyad Saleh, Iraqi's ambassador, attend this year's celebration to give us his views on the recent development in Iraq as they pertain to the future of Assyrians in their ancestors' land. Unfortunately, he withdrew at the last minute, having previously accepted our invitation. We hope that he can attend our next major gatherings. Every year we celebrate this ancient festival, which is a heritage that has been passed to us from generations to generation, linking us to a great civilization that arose in Assyria in the dawn of history and shed its enduring light on humanity. The celebration of the Assyrian New Year is a national tradition that we have treasured and carried regardless of the adversities that have befallen us. It brings hope to our hearts and reflects our determination for survival. It binds us to our history, heritage, language, faith, and moral characteristics, which we have managed to preserve in the face of centuries of hardship. In observing this tradition, we too pass on to the next generation that which has been entrusted to us. Yet this is not enough to secure the future of our people as a viable nation. The human rights situation of Assyrian people in the Middle East, particularly in Syria and Iraq, is worsening, and the civil and political rights continue to deteriorate. Our people are facing racial and cultural attacks and economic pressure in an effort to uproot them from our ancestral lands. Our population in the homeland has dwindled to less than half of its number before the war. Every day, Iraqi Assyrians are losing part of their territories to the occupier in the north and are forced by extremists to flee major towns and cities. Ladies and gentlemen, on 20th of January 2014, Iraqi Council of Ministers, led by the Honorable Nouri al-Maliki, Prime Minister of Iraq, decided in principle to create 3 new provinces from contested part of the country. A statement said the cabinet has agreed in principle to turn the areas of Tus, Fallujah, and the Nineveh Plain into provinces, and the cabinet will decide after the fulfillment of the necessary requirement. It did not give a reason for the decision. Assyrians have been demanding a dedicated province status at Nineveh Plain for years. Iraqi Christians living abroad have welcomed the news and are cautiously optimistic that the Iraqi government will in fact act positively on its decision about the Nineveh Plain province. If implemented, this decision will mark a pivotal point in the life of the new Iraq and its drive toward democracy, security, and cultural preservation for all its inhabitants, especially the indigenous Assyrians. We ask that the Australian government endorse and support the Nineveh Plain province solution, which entails the development of a self-governed Assyrian province in the Nineveh Plain under the jurisdiction of the central government of the Federal Republic of Iraq. We also ask the Australian government to offer political support in favor of this policy in its dealing with the government of Iraq, and to make sure that the borders and the law of this proposed province will be made in a way that will serve and protect the rights and purpose of the establishment of the Nineveh province for the Assyrians in Iraq. We hope that with a common resolve and united voice, we can remind the world that there are Christian communities in the Middle East, such as the Copts of Egypt and the Assyrians of Iraq and Syria, who are facing oppression and violence every day, and help them secure their rights and consequently their future. In conclusion, I express our gratitude to everyone for attending this New Year celebration. We extend our thanks and gratitude to all our generous sponsors who continue to support our events every year, and to all those who are supporting the Assyrian Universal Alliance, particularly the young Assyrians of the AUA, Mrs. Susie David and Mr. Paul Azu, for their exceptional contribution to this organization. I wish you all a happy, peaceful, and prosperous Assyrian New Year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shaheen. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have some entertainment for you. Some beautifully dressed and talented dancers led by Mr. Yukhanda Khamis, who has 40 years experience as a dance teacher. Please welcome to the stage the Assyrian Star Folkloric Dancing Group. Thank you, that was fantastic.